Hello. Um, sorry. What is classic games? Okay, classic. We think of classic games like anything that came before the current and last generation. Um, I would even say even before 360 and PS3 and the Wii, right? Um, but a lot of us, we don't play classic games on our original consoles. We don't we don't buy we don't go out and buy a SNES, a PS2, a original PlayStation, which I do have, by the way. Hold on, let me go get it. This is like the oldest thing I've ever owned in my life. It's pretty cool, okay? But but we don't normally go out and play that, right? We don't normally, and there are some, and I know PlayStation did release a PS1 or whatever it's called, the PlayStation Classic, um, which is really cool. I want to own it because I want to play those classic games. And PlayStation 5 and all that, that is doing their PlayStation Now service stuff. You can download classic games, but it's not console specific. Well, one company has done that and has been doing that since the 2011. Hell, even since 2007 or 8. I'm talking about Nintendo. Now, Nintendo, they make some bullshit, okay? They make some bullshit games. Sometimes, and they're not always smart, okay? But that doesn't matter. Nintendo is one of the greatest console makers, game developers. They made some amazing games. Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, on the Switch. Super Mario 3D All-Stars, They made Mario Kart 8 and all other Mario Karts except Super Circuit. Super Mario World 3, Super Mario 3D World, Bowser's Fury, Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. Just to name a few that they made, okay? So that's obviously getting them into something, right? But emulation has never been a new thing. It's been present on the Game Boy, mainly the Game Boy Color. But I think it started in Game Boy Advance. But the best console to play classic games is the Nintendo Switch, in my opinion. And yes, I have the original Nintendo Switch because I'm poor, okay? Hey, it's good that I even got this, okay? Now, I mainly play it in this mode, okay? I do have the dock, but I don't have it set it up to my TV, which I do need to. It would be so much better. But I live on it, right? But they offer so many great services, even better than the 3DS, the DS, the Wii, the Wii U. You don't have in the Nintendo Switch. You don't have to pay for all those specific games. You can pay a one-time monthly membership for like $50 and get the NES, SNES, Nintendo 64 game. And it's not just Nintendo games that you can play classic. You can do Sega. You can do, So, but what I'm also trying to say is classic games is a very touchy subject that we want to do. Because with me, I want to play classic games just to see how it is, right? Like, I experienced originally, I experienced Metal Gear Solid for the first time a couple years ago. that was fun. And obviously I played it originally because you know. But this game came back in the 90s, and I'm just gonna say I was born not in the 90s. But Nintendo is one of the greatest people to ever do classic gaming, to ever do to do classic gaming now, because it was such a common thing back then. Say common thing like it was a choice that they made. That was like the only thing they could do, the 8-bit style, 64-bit style, 16-bit style, you know what I mean? But there's also other things you could do. You could, like what PlayStation, Nintendo does, release smaller things of the console. It emulates all the not mainline, but all the popular games on that console. But that's also another thing. Like with the new Atari game that came out, the 50th anniversary, something like that, which I want to own for the Nintendo Switch, not the PlayStation, not the Xbox, because I feel like then it would be best on Nintendo Switch. You know what I mean? Mainly in this mode, because yeah. But talking about Atari, one of the original, not saying it's original, but one of the popular original game developers / console developers. Now I think the popular one this day is Sony. Okay, now we can all agree that Sony has some hitting titles. Okay, they've made some hitting titles and hitting consoles. Okay, they made some bangers. Okay, but back then in the 70s, it was Atari that had that crown, because there wasn't really anyone doing that. Sure, there might have been ColecoVision, but the fuck. Wow, let's buy that. I don't own it. I've never owned one, but I wanna. But there's been also Atari did the same thing with it, but during that time there was really. You played for fun, you know what I mean? You didn't play for story. You didn't play for all that. You played for fun. And Nintendo, when they came along in the 80s, they, did all that. So, fast forward 50 years, 50 years now, we have, a Nintendo Switch that can play all these classic games immediately, because, hold on. I'm gonna just boot up the SNES emulator thing and let you see it for yourself. You have all these games. Oh, they released a new game. Cool. Yeah, they're releasing new games. So you have all these games to try out, and why not, right? It's free. It doesn't take up space. So it's a good time to try these new games, and also with all that. So anyway, that's all I gotta say. Anyway, thank y'all for watching, and I'll see y'all later.